does that even mean, Bowers Game Corp?
There, YouTube. Welcome back for list. What do we... Go ahead and start.
For more of our Gencon Bonanza, kind of a cheat one here, but I wanted to keep the streak alive. This is going to be our top 10 games of the summer, obviously with coronavirus messing everything up. Oh, I'm here with Lucy and Adam from Game Night.
Hey.
Hey.
But with coronavirus screwing everything up, there were no conventions, so we weren't going to do a list, but I wanted to keep the streak going, so this is going to be the top 10 games that are going to be coming out this summer. Now, this was compiled on Board Game Geek using their list. You click on the top right, it has all the games that are coming out over the summer. Oh, awesome as always. Great job, Board Game Geek. But we're going to be going over our top 10 games. We have no idea what everyone else is going to say, so I'm pretty excited to see, because we do have some different diverse opinions here. We have some family game likers, some not so much, light games, heavy games. But we'll start off number 10. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So my number 10 game is Alma Mater. It's a game about, it's 2 to 4 players, 90 to 150 minutes, ages 12 plus. It's a game about you're running a university and you're trying to attract students and the best teachers. And so, yeah, there's this whole system where you're buying books, and like the prices of the books change because you're sliding these tokens down, and there's a little window that changes the price. It sounded really neat. It's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it was good.
I looked at that one. The theme seemed a little bit dry to me. But, 90 to 150 minutes got me excited. Yeah. So, I definitely want to check it out.
I liked the look of it, and it felt like there was a lot going on, but not like in a you're busy sense. It was like, oh, it's like you're building these different, tracks.
I will say I think the theme is really unique. I do like the idea of the theme. My number 10, I'm going to do Last Aurora. So this one, and how I ordered my list was my most skeptical to the ones that I'm pretty sure are going to be pretty dang good based on some various different things. So my number 10, Last Aurora. This one is from a new designer, Moro Chabadio. 60 to 90 minutes, 1 to 4 players. But what really intrigued me about this game was it looks like Mad Max, but set in post-apocalyptic snow world. Actually, I take that back. He has one other game, Sam Hain, which is ranked 9,717th. That scares me a little bit, and when I see that tells me that this game is probably going to be fidgety to a certain extent, because it does look like it has lots of different tracks and things going on, but I like the theme enough, I like the artwork, so my number 10, but honestly, I'm a little bit more excited about Alma Mater than this one, but I wanted to throw it in there. That is Last Aurora. What about you, Lucy?
Mine was Detective, The Gaze of the Ghost. It's supposed to be like a nice little card game where it's a cooperative card game where you're trying to solve a mystery, and then depending on how your group goes together, you'll be getting more points based on if you answer the questions correctly. Which I thought I kind of organized my list similar to yours about what I'm more skeptical about versus what I'm pretty sure is going to be awesome. And this one, I like the idea because I love mystery. You guys know I love mystery. I'm not the greatest on cooperative, but it seemed nice. But with the card game aspect, I didn't know if it was going to work as well as it should. But it seems interesting because based off certain things, you can discard cards if you think it's a red herring somehow, or depending on the values to get more points. So I was at least interested in it, and the artwork does look nice.
I thought this one looked really cool as well. I did not pick it, but I will say I did pick some other smaller card games, and I noticed there was a lot. That seems to be a really popular trend. I'm going to blame The Mind on this one, potentially. Hanabi games like that. Small box games that accommodate a lot of players, that were cooperative, which I do. I like seeing that, because those are great games to bring people together, and a lot of them tend to err towards the side of Gateway-esque, which I like as well, because then we can dig them into the meatier stuff.
New players are familiar with a deck of cards, so it's easy for them to approach.
Do you want to snake back around to your number 9, Lucy?
Oh, sure. Mine was going to be for number 9, Fort, which is also a card game.
Yeah.
If you'll recognize it based off the artwork, it's from Ledger Games, the same people who made Root, and the same artist is back again. This one
Vast!
Also...
Yeah! They also made Vast.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Vast. And it's also just a card game. This one's more of management. You're a whole bunch of kids just playing around, kind of just trying to beat each other in battles. And I'm always a sucker for card games. One of my favorite card games is Red Dragon, which got me to the hobby, so... Like, I've always been a sucker for these, and I'm hoping, like, once again, it's like, it's from a good publisher, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. I just don't know how, because I don't think they haven't done a lot of card games, have they?
Leader Games, no. Leader Games has a pretty tight lineup right now, and I think that is by design. And they actually had a really amazing looking, it was like a 4 or 5 player asymmetrical game, which is shocking, because they have as you said, Root, they have Vast, but they had another one that was coming out. There was going to be another asymmetrical game, and they scrapped it for one reason or another. And that tells me, like, when you're showing me that game at Origins, and you're showing that game off to tens of thousands of people, and you scrap it even after that, even though it looks amazing, that tells me that that's a company that cares about the games they put out.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yes, I will play anything by Leader Games. And this one, I actually thought it looked really cool. It might have made... I probably should have put it in my top 10. Because I've also seen a lot of people talking about it online and just raving about it. And I love the theme as well, making the treehouse. I think that's a really cool theme. So, yeah, awesome one. So, my number 9 is Godspeed. And this one I thought had a really interesting premise. The space race was a lie. Look, it's not that the moon landing was faked. It happened. Neil hates the conspiracy theories. The lie is that we ever wanted to go to the moon. We needed a spectacle to show the people, to justify the massive budgets, the agency. Neil stepped on a rock 239,000 miles from Earth. Big deal. I stepped on an exoplanet circling your same mate. So this is one where they went hard on the theme, and I do like the theme. This is the new one from Pandasaurus Games. Godspeed, 2 to 5 players, 45 to 90 minutes. And this is an auction bidding worker placement game. And anytime you throw space exploration, space colonization, just space and worker placement in the same box, I'm immediately intrigued. That is one of my favorite themes with one of my favorite mechanisms. And Pandasaurus Games has a very solid track record. I don't think I've ever played a Pandasaurus game and been like, this is a giant pile of dog do. So I know this is going to be a good to potentially great game, even though, if I recall correctly, Clayton Hardgrave is one of the guys, and he is a brand spanking new designer. Yeah, and there's also another guy who helped design the game. He is a brand spanking new designer. But I think with a big company like Pandasaurus Games, what you have, and a lot of people don't know this, so it's kind of interesting to know, is they'll have someone working on staff whose whole job is to work on all the different games in production and kind of fine-tune them and make them better. And whoever's doing that Pandasaurus is doing a dang good job. So I have high hopes for this one.
Cool. My number 9 is the Stygian Society. It's 1 to 4 players, 14 plus, 60 to 120 minutes by 8 games. And this game, it had this really cool tower where you're fighting your way through the tower, and to fight people, you use these cubes and drop it in this tower. And some of the cubes will get stuck in the tower. So only what comes out the bottom is what you can actually use to fight. And I just thought it was a really interesting mechanic, and I want to see how it works. And so I liked it for that. I don't know the designer. I don't know anything about it except for that. But I'm excited to try it.
I will be brutally honest here, as I always am. Hearing you talk about that game makes it sound very, very cool. However, I scrolled right by it when I saw Ape Games, because I've never played an Ape Games game that I thought was spectacular. But that sounds really cool. And they're kind of an interesting company, because as far as I know, I don't feel like they have any huge hits, but I know they've been around since I think one of the first games I ever designed was by Ape Games, like Who Would Win? And this was 8-9 years ago, and I don't think they've ever had a huge hit, but they just keep floating along.
Steady, yeah.
Yeah, which means either, A, it's a passion project, or B, they're making more money than we see. But there we go. So you want to scroll it back around to our number
hold on a second.
8?
We'll go to the next one. So my number 8 is Mariposas. This is a game about you're sending butterflies up into North America and then back down to Mexico. It's 2 to 5 players, 45 to 75 minutes, 14 plus by Alderac Entertainment Group. It's it looked really interesting because as you're sending your butterflies out, people might not know that butterfly that starts in Mexico and goes all the way up to North America. Well, that can be 3 or 4 generations to get back down there. So like that butterfly is never going to actually come back to where it was, but its descendants will. So the way this game works is, as you're going, the first generation of butterflies is dying out, but it's creating a second generation and a third generation and a fourth generation, and eventually you're going to try and get back to where you started from, and you gain points along the way. It looked really interesting.
And yeah, this one has a lot of buzz around it. This is from Elizabeth Hardgrave, who did Wingspan. I hope I got that name right, which obviously was immensely popular last year. So I think this is her second game. So very interesting to see what the sophomore title looks like. I didn't put it on my list because I thought the theme didn't do it for me. I put on my list, though, at number 8, Friday the 13th, the horror at Camp Crystal Lake, because that's the kind of thing that gets me going.
Similar.
This is from the OP, the OP, whatever they're calling themselves now. This is 3 to 6 players, 60 minutes to play, ages 17 plus, which got me intrigued. But in Friday the 13th, Horror at Camp Crystal Lake, an anxiety-driven press-your-luck horror game, players take on the roles of cliche camp counselors like the stereotypical nerd, the partier, the nice guy, blah, 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 blah. It is a straight-up push-your-luck game, but stretched over the course of 60 minutes. And the designer of it, Sean Fletcher, actually did the Die Hard game as well. Die Hard, the Nakatomi, with the tower game, which actually got some pretty solid buzz, even though I didn't get a chance to play it. But he also did It, Evil Below, which is ranked number 9,996. So big props to him for not dipping into the 10,000s. But once you start having a game that's near the 10,000s, that's a little bit dicey. But I still think OP, once again, it's a very massive company. They got a lot of people, kind of pushing games towards being good to great. And I do love Friday the 13th. It's one of my favorite series of all time. But there you go. My number 8, Friday the 13th, horror at Camp Crystal Lake, and I do love push-your-luck games.
Oh, my number 8 was Ride the Rails. Oh, my voice. It was Ride the Rails. The designer is John Boer. Publisher is Capstone Games. It just seems like a nice, at least from what I've seen, it was like a hardier version of just like Ticket to Ride, or like you're still connecting cities, but you're getting passengers, you're getting points more of just like selling items, and you're trying to just you get more invested into it because it's like an actual company instead of just like a thing you lay along like a map. So I was excited about that because Ticket to Ride was never my favorite one, but this one has like a lot more mechanics into it.
Oh yeah, lots of chits, lots of stuff going on the board. Looks like you got the map there.
Like the resource management.
This one, and I almost put this on my list, but there's a lot of kind of that economic train games out there, and I was like, I know there's a whole group of people that's all they do is like play train games.
18XX.
So I was like, I can't really speak to whether this is going to be a good one of those, and there's a lot of options out there.
And here's the other thing. That theme is so overdone that I have a hard time getting excited about those games. Now, that being said, every time we play a train game, I end up liking it.
That's true.
It's just, I want more theme, I guess. Even though I'm sure it's probably going to be spectacular.
I mean, the artwork looks beautiful. There's already an expansion coming out, and it just looks...
Oh, I thought it was interesting. It's a one-page rule book for that.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
So, even better.
Is it double-sided, though?
Probably. I didn't see the rule book.
That's something.
It's only 2 sentences.
Watch Rodney's video.
Probably.
All right, so number 7.
Number 7, we want to look. Oh, it was 4 Gardens. Let me bring it up. It was also just like a beautiful game. I believe this is going to be translated. It is essentially just like what's it called? A lot of point salad, just like bringing a whole bunch of points together, trying to like make your own little tower. I just found it like trying to get all your resources together. Hard to describe, but it looks. I'm a sucker for like all those kind of like Asian kind of style games.
And I see it's from Korea Board Games. One thing, Korea Board Games, very hit or miss for me. I was on the reviewer list for a very long time. Always hit or miss, But one thing I always liked was their components. They put a lot of effort into their components. And if this is supposed to be a game about creating a beautiful garden, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to nail it. And looking through some of the pictures that you put right there, it looks really beautiful.
Just like gathering the resources to make your pagoda and just trying to make the most prettiest one. And I love it.
What's the time length of that?
It is...
It's up.
45 minutes.
45 minutes? Yeah. Never put it on my top 10 ever. I want more meat or less. I don't know. Like, if I'm going to play a 45-minute Euro game, like, I want to get really invested in the theme. And for me personally, I just don't see myself getting invested in that theme.
I'm more of a, I guess I love components, just more just like, give me something fancy.
Oh, yeah. I know you always cringe at how I put stuff back in the box sometimes.
You can fit it better.
Or Leo's just throw it in and I'll sort it out next time. That never
Next time happens.
That happened once, and I was like, all right, so we're going to sort stuff out. My number 7, going back to yet another smaller box game, is Sherlock 13 Hostages. This is a series that I guess has some other games. I did not know about them. 1 to 8 players, 60 minutes to play, and in this, they go over different stories. There's a couple different ones in this particular Sherlock thing, but how it pretty much works is there's going to be a case with 32 clue cards, with players revealing 1 clue at a time until all cards have been revealed or discarded. During your turn, each player must perform one of the following actions, which is to reveal some of your information. So think like Clue almost, in getting the impression, or you can do some other stuff. But it looks pretty much like a meteor Clue, like a what was it? Holmes and Moriarty is what we played last week. Kind of like
Watson and Holmes.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they have all the stuff, but it's on the cards, and you're trying to hand out the information to other people and give them what you want them to have, but still holding back certain information. And it sounds really awesome. It seems like it's kind of taken that formula and bottled it up into its lowest common denominator, it feels like almost. That being said, I do worry about the replayability of this with games like this. Once you know the story, it's obviously kind of done. But, if exit rooms and escape room games are super popular, I don't see why a game like this could not be super popular in America as well. And this is one that I actually plan on reaching out to them and getting a copy of, because it does sound really cool, and I love the idea. It also goes up to 8 players, which always gets me excited about stuff. So Sherlock, 13 stages, but there's some other Sherlock titles as well, is my number 7.
All right, my number 7 is Silver Coin. This is the third in the Silver line. The theme is something about werewolves. It's just stapled on.
It's from BZA Games, so it's all werewolf.
So we played the Silver Bullet at Origins last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was fantastic. Well, apparently the first one was just kind of like an introduction, so the abilities are varied. The second one was Bullet, so that's attacking cards. So that's attacking back and forth. And Silver Coin is flipping people's cards. So in the game, you're trying to get the lowest total number of you have like 5 cards in front of you, and you'll be like kind of trading them back and forth and flipping them over and trading them in the middle and stuff. So I had a good time with it. There are some issues with it, and you can see reviews on that, but. Maybe they fixed it, but I'm doubtful because they're the same game. It's just the mechanics are changed a little bit. What's neat is that you can mix and match. So like you can any of the other 2 games you can say I really like this card, so we're gonna put that one in. And you can mix them up that way.
I thought this might be on your list. I know when we played it last year, you liked it a lot more than I did. I thought it was good, but I played a lot of games in that same ilk. But I will say, I would be excited to still play it again to see what new characters and stuff they had. All right. So,
I guess
back around, and I believe this is the number 6 game.
All right. My number 6 is Dragon Ominoes.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that.
Or Dragominos. Yeah. This is like King Domino, Queen Domino. It's like in that team of games.
Yeah.
So this one's more geared toward kids. It's a little simpler, easier mechanics. And I put this on here because I think that I could play it with my kids. It says ages 5+. My son's 2 and 4. and I'm pretty sure that they could play the way this is. It's basically just you got your dominoes and you're putting them together, and you're getting points based on what landmass you're putting together.
Yeah, my buddy Ito did a video on this, and it looked really fun. This one was just... I didn't put any kids' games on my list this time. None of them, like, pulled me in that hard, which I was a little bit disappointed. But yeah, this one was definitely in my honorable mentions, just for my kids as well. And the artwork looked really cool. And it's dragons. My number 6 is Undo 600 Seconds. This game looked really, really intriguing to me. This is from Pegasus Spiel, and this is another one of those small box games. Maybe it doesn't have the most replayability, but time heals all wounds, they say. But the sudden death of a loved one sometimes shakes those who are left behind, so much that their faith wavers. To prevent this, the gods send fate weavers to change the past and prevent death. In the game series Undo, players slip into the role of these destiny weavers and do everything in their power to undo sudden deaths. It is Quantum Leap the game, people. Whether murder or suicide. Not only do they travel minutes or hours back in time, but sometimes thousands of years to change events that have laid the foundation for the later stroke of fate. Sometimes a leap into the future... A leap. I see what you did there. Can also provide important information. But I love this. It's an adventure card game. It is... deduction, murder, mystery. It looks like you're going to be trying to figure out the right path to do it in order to fix history. And I love time traveling games, so I'm very excited about this. Hopefully this turns into a huge series with a whole bunch of stuff. That is Undo 600 Seconds. Time travel, you got me.
My next one is Cosmic Colonies. It is, you blast your asteroids blasting the cosmos, each packed with possibilities. One may be your perfect new home. It takes a stellar team to build a cosmic colony. Like a kind of like worker placement games where you collect tiles, you put them on your personal board to try to get resources, and there's also like a worker placement switch mechanic where like your worker will go to somebody else, but you'll get a new worker from somebody else. And it just seemed like not only are the pieces look beautiful, it just did a successful Kickstarter, which is, I believe if it's not already out, it's going to be coming out soon. And there's like a whole bunch of little card mechanics, get you extra powers, maybe get better workers. And, well, I love worker placement games, so this one was for me, and with all the tiles and everything.
I think I saw that this one was a Gencon release.
Was it?
I think I saw that.
Oh,
yeah, that would look really interesting. I'm always wary of Kickstarters with all the bright, fancy bells and whistles.
I mean, at least for me, like, video games on Kickstarter have disappointed me several times, but I've never at least Kickstarted a board game that's, like, disappointed me.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. I've had several.
You've
I
had several?
actually
Ooh.
don't do the Kickstarter board games anymore because I've had several that have, cost me some money.
I wasn't aware of this Kickstarter, but...
Help Wanted satisfied, though, right?
Oh, for sure. I bought like
Are they
3
gonna come out with an
copies.
expansion soon, or...?
No. Number 5.
Oh, number 5. Oh, dang.
Do you want me to not snake around to you? Because we can do that. It's not a big deal.
Well, no, I already had, like, one in mind anyways. It's probably
I
going
can
to
do
be
it on-
Scooby-Doo, Betrayal at Mystery Mansion.
I knew you'd put that on there.
Yep.
Hell yeah, it was.
Lucy brings Betrayal at Baldur's Gate pretty much every week to game night.
Only
We played it once.
And it was good!
It was.
I hate all of you. But, I've always loved the Betrayal series. I have Betrayal Legacy, I have Baldur's Gate, I have the original one, which I paid a higher amount for because it was hard. It was out of print at that time. So yeah, no, I love the series, and now it's going to be Scooby-Doo form, so now I can get my other friends into it, because now it's a little more friendly. And I'll probably have more friendlier haunts. Some of the other ones are kind of a little more like, hey, you gotta murder all your friends.
Yeah, isn't that most of them?
Yeah.
I have never owned a Betrayal game. I didn't think I was ever going to own a Betrayal game, because while I do like it to a certain extent, it's not a game that I want to play on a routine basis. This one might be the one that bucks the trend, because I have a feeling this would be the kind of game that my kids would go absolutely nuts for in a couple years. And so yeah, this is probably one that I'll be putting the trigger. And I imagine this is going to be one of the hottest games of the year.
I'm excited. I'm just about to buy it because I didn't realize it was already out. So I'm going to buy it, and it's going to be fun.
Yes,
Yep.
Huge props to them for snagging that license, because that's how you go. That's a big boy play. That's a big boy play.
Yeah.
That's what the last game.
My kids love Scooby-Doo, and I loved Scooby-Doo when I was their age.
Yep.
So that's the legacy of Scooby-Doo.
Should have done that with the Quantum Leap game.
Yeah.
Dude, why not? That'd be an awesome crossover. Oh my god, that would be amazing!
New game idea.
Scooby-Doo Quantum Leap. My number 5, adventure games, the Volcanic Island. So, if you haven't seen the adventure games yet, they're really cool, choose-your-own-adventure style games where you are actually creating the map as you play down cards, and you can explore the maps with your little meeples and do a whole bunch of different things. And my son loves these games. We've only played one so far. There's only 2 out, so I think this is the 3rd one in the series. It's sitting at the number 5. It's not higher because I know exactly what I'm going to get from this game. It's going to be great, but it's not going to be that next step. Because at the bottom, there's not enough paths in this game. It all kind of just... But you get to hear most of the time. It creates that artificial sense of like, oh, anything could happen. But as an adult, you can kind of pretty quickly see through that. It's like, oh, I'm going to end up going through this door no matter what. And sometimes, despite the fact the app is spectacular, it will lead you to some frustrating moments where you don't know what to do. And even though there is a really useful like FAQ on the app, it still doesn't fill you in as much as you'd like. But this one takes place on a volcanic island. You slip into the roles of 4 students on a volcanic island who face mysterious events like a thriller. You need, like a thriller. Oh, like a thriller, you need to solve puzzles, make decisions, track traces, and analyze and use objects. So pretty much you collect things, figure out what they're used for. It's a very straightforward game, but I'm still excited for it. Nonetheless, that is Adventure Games of Volcanic Island, and I would say, if that sounds intriguing to you, like a choose-your-own-adventure style board game, I think this one does a very good job of it, even though the replayability is lacking a little bit on these ones.
All right, my number 5 is Tatumakatsu. It's a
What? Repeat that.
Tatumakatsu. It's 2 to 5 players, 15 minutes. This game, I put it on here because I thought it just looked like fun to play. It's a super simple game. It's got like these like hexagonal dice, and you drop them down, and depending on what the number is, you lose a finger.
Oh.
So like you have to like pick these up with like 3 fingers, and you're picking them all up, and then whoever has a hand at the end wins. Yeah,
that sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
I scrolled right by this after I saw the name and the thing and the 15 minutes, and I was like, eh.
It just looked like a lot of fun. Not like a deep game. No,
you got some hidden gems on your list.
Oh, for sure. What else?
Number
4. Pan Am. So Pan Am is 2 to 4 players. Oops, I accidentally clicked on something else.
It was the crew.
Anyway.
It's spectacular.
Age 12 plus, 60 minutes. And it looked like an economics game with planes. I mean, I enjoy the whole Pan Am history. I think that it's you go into that, and Pan Am is essentially in this game. You have your company, and it's a small airplane company. You're building these routes, and at some point you're trying to sell your company to Pan Am. So you have to sell it at the right time so you get the most money back, and then you can buy stocks into Pan Am because you think that they're gonna go they're gonna be the big overarching owns everything company. So you want to sell, but then you also want to buy their stock at a certain period, and depending on what other people do, that could help or hurt you in the long run. It's just a really fun economics playing game.
This definitely sounds like one of his games.
Yep.
This sounds like one of the games that you would kick the crap out of us every single time, but your turns would take about 3 minutes longer than us every single time as well.
Like,
My apologies.
Plan out my next 5 turns in advance.
He's very good at games like that. My number 4 is Fiera Bend, and this is the new one from Friedman Freese, who did Power Grid. He did 504. He's a very prolific designer. He always brings something new, something different, which is why I had him on the list. And every game I've played at his I liked, and I thought it was good to better. And if I can say that about a designer, and 4 or 5 times, that's when I really get intrigued by him. And also, I really like the theme of this. It's 1 to 6 players. Also gets me very excited. 45 to 75 minutes, so you got yourself a medium weight Euro. But this is the reverse worker placement game, kind of where your workers just got done with a 70-hour week, and now it's your job to keep your workers happy by taking them to the bars and letting them do karaoke and all different stuff like that. And I'm sure there's going to be some crazy cockamamie mechanism in there that's going to make things a little bit different, going to flip things on its head. And it's mostly just, I love worker placement. I love anytime you do something different with worker placement. I was like, ooh, it's so neat and different. Gets me excited. And I'm sure he probably did something like that in this game. So that is Fiera Bend from Friedman Freeze. My number, whatever number, 4.
Yeah, what number are we on? 4. Okay. Well, my number 4 is more like an expansion series, which is a game I love. It's Chronicles of Crime, their Millennia series that's coming out, which take place in like the 1900s, the 1400s, and like in the future, which is something 2400s, I want to say. Yeah, let's go with 2400s.
That's in the future, yeah.
Yep.
Can confirm. Crunch the numbers.
I love this series. I love the base game in general. Like, I love their expansions. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, I love the whole, because I'm a sucker for mystery genre in general. Just being able to, like, and they do, like, the app perfectly, in my opinion. Like, it's just, like, it's good, it's interactive enough, and it's not, doesn't feel invasive, or doesn't feel like it's not needed. That's probably a better description.
I would agree with that.
You can see the crime scene, you can see everything, and it's just, it's one of my favorites.
By the way, if you ever figure out what number we're on, just look right up there.
Okay. Yeah, definitely there.
Number 3.
Yeah. Number 3, it is Warp's Edge.
Oh, that was so clever.
It's not actually up there.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's just a picture of you.
I'm pantomiming.
There is a very creepy picture of me up there. Like that.
Slightly obscured.
One eye's poking out from behind a floorboard. I like to make it whenever you come over to play games, which you should definitely do sometime, that wherever you look in the entire basement, there's something to appease your eyes.
Yep. But yeah, Warp's Edge.
Non sequitur.
It is a completely solo game that was also on Kickstarter.
Oh.
And I love solo games. I usually play solo games for myself.
Was that on the list?
No, but...
You went off the list?
Yeah, I did.
Whoa.
So my next 2 are off the list, but one of them is probably predictable.
What? The next 2?
Yeah.
We gotta start this over.
Oh, I gotta just cancel.
Tell me more. I'm
Sounds like a lot of
intrigued.
work.
I love space and solo.
Yes, it is a sci-fi, completely solo game where you're trying to just like battle through the galaxy, just trying to get home, and like there's a whole bunch of cards, like little tokens, and just like a whole one-player experience with a storybook and everything. It's like a campaign, and it's just like sci-fi's not usually my genre, but like with this kind of solo game and like with how in-depth it seems to be, like I am excited for this.
You know what? I think that sounds fantastic. And I think space games in particular, and also, like, I love when a solo game... I love when a solo game has a theme that it makes sense in.
Yes.
Space exploration, the rest of your crew died. I completely see that. Mountain climbing, you're trying to get down a mountain, the rest of your crew died. I can see that. And I think that helps me personally get immersed into certain games more. When I can really be like, oh yeah, in a real life situation, I could be doing this solo. And yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I love those kind of games.
You're getting the hidden gems off the list. You're getting the hidden gems off the list, and I'm just a basic B. Sticking to the list. My number 3, this is one I was very excited about. That is Forgotten Waters. This is from Isaac Vega, who was the top dog at like Plaid Hat Games. He's made some really spectacular games, and a couple other people as well. And this is the next game in the Crossroads series. Do you remember the Crossroads?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. This is.
Oh God.
Yeah, this is a completely cooperative piratey set. Forgotten Waters is a Crossroads game set in a world of fantastical pirate adventures. It's cooperative. Players take on the roles of pirates, sailing together on a ship, attempting to further their own personal stories as well as a common goal, which means you might potentially have a trader on there. Who knows? The world of Forgotten Waters is silly and magical, with stories designed to encourage players to explore and laugh and delight as they interact with the world around them. It's a game in which every choice can leave a lasting impact in the story, and players will want to turn over every rock just to see what they find. 120 minutes to 240 minutes for play session, which really gets me excited because it sounds like we got some meat and potatoes here, and company that consistently puts out pretty good games with Plaid Hat Games. Very excited about this one. That is Forgotten Waters.
All right, my number 3 is Tekenu, Obelisk of the Sun. It's 1 to 4 players, 14 plus, 60 to 120 minutes. I looked at the board on this, and it just like looked pretty, and it has like a lot of stuff going on, and so that's what initially got me to it. That's an expansion. Well, there you go.
Feel like
I had no idea it was an expansion. I've never seen this game before.
It's a very highly rated game, so you have good taste, sir.
All right,
Continue
cool.
on.
Never mind then. Just go look it up.
Well, the reason why I did that was because we actually had a conversation about expansions beforehand, and Adam said he wasn't going to do expansions, and Lucy said she was going to do expansions, and so
This
it was
is not one that I'd seen before.
yes, it's an incredibly popular game too. I think it came out
Have you
maybe
played
last
it?
year. No, I have not.
Oh yeah. Well, we should get it.
You know what? And here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm doing a big boy list. Bowers Game Corner is trying to grow, trying to get better. I'm actually going to reach out to all the companies and be like, hey, check it out. I made this really nice fancy list with pictures and whatnot. We're interested in your game. We can probably do a thoughts from the corner about it, reviews, gameplay videos, all that good stuff. And because that's what you're supposed to do. And I've just kind of not done as much of that in the last 8 years. But there we go.
Yeah, definitely want to see that one.
Number 2.
My number 2 is Back to the Future, Back in Time.
Woo!
Obviously, it's a Back to the Future game. It's 2 to 4 players, 50 minutes, 10 plus. This one, it was just, I love Back to the Future. So to be in Hill Valley, and you're running around the city trying to get the parents together and make them in love. You're avoiding Biff. You're trying to get the DeLorean to the street so that it can be right at the right place at the right time. There are like 3 lose conditions on this. Everybody's working together. Yeah, it just looked like a lot of fun.
50 minutes too.
Play. Yeah,
it's got some meat to it.
Yeah. And it looked like, it was replayable. So it's not like a linear story. You're doing the stuff from the movie, but there's a lot of ways to get there.
Very, very cool. And the theme that could potentially draw in a lot of new people as well. So hopefully that one is dang good. My number 2 is Roam and Roll. And this one is for 1 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes to play. And Roam and Roll is a heavy roll and write board game by 2 guys, David Suki and Nick Shaw, in which 1 to 4 players complete to craft an empire after Rome has essentially fallen. So you're essentially just trying to rebuild Rome, and I love any game that's going to let me try and rebuild things. I love where it's just like pretty much a straight up, that's the theme. Like, I love, here's the ashes, build stuff up. I like roll and writes an awful lot. This one looks a lot heavier than any other roll and writes I've seen. It's got a lot of stuff you're going to be filling in. And I really enjoy roll and write games, and I'm excited to see them get more and more and more complex. Well, I think they're already immensely popular. I mean, you go to Target and Hasbro's in on it. They got like Uno roll and write and Skipmo roll and write. It's just I want to see them go into the deep end of the pool. I want a 2 to 4 hour roll and write game where I got my own stinking pamphlet. Why not? Let's go nuts on these bad boys. Roam and Roll, I do think it looks really stinking cool though. My number 2.
Well, my number 2 is probably something that people have already heard about, but I still am in high anticipation of it. It's Frosthaven. Some people made Gloomhaven, but
You're gonna need to explain what that is.
oh,
I don't think people have heard of that.
what hate you. Well, it's not just like a new side of the Gloomhaven universe. They're gonna have more characters, more places, and more maps. And
Is that coming out this summer?
It's coming out, I think, just like late summer, if not like early winter. It's coming out this year, I know, because they just released their first wave. I'm part of their Kickstarter. Their first wave. They have yet to disappoint me. Their first wave is now like being shipped out right now, which is like the original Gloomhaven and all the Gloomhaven expansions. So soon Frosthaven should be coming out like this year, later this year. So I'm happy about that. I'm anticipating it. It's gonna have new characters, new minis, and yeah, I'm really excited.
That one obviously going to make a huge splash. And it reminds me, also a little non sequitur story of one of my worst mistakes I ever made on Bowers Game Corner, which was I had one of these big old Kickstarter boxes for Gloomhaven. Last day of Gencon, he's like, the other guy fell through. Would you be willing to do this? And I was like, man, I got a lot of stuff to review. Because I bring home like 50 to 100 games every time. I was like, This looks really awesome, but I don't know if I'll have the time for it.
You fool! You would have had 1 million subscribers by now.
Yes.
Fool.
But that's why I'm sitting here at 6,000 subscribers after 8 years. Choices like that. But yes, I'm sure Frosthaven will be expensive and fantastic, just like the original.
Yep. I'm excited, and I guess like my number one is also going to be a surprise to no
Oh
one.
yeah, number one, we're there.
Yeah, we're there.
Boom.
Hopefully, if I didn't skip one, yep, we're there. My most anticipated game that I'm looking forward to is, to the surprise of no one, Blood on the Clock Tower.
Blood on the Clock Tower.
Nice.
I didn't realize that was not on the list here. That's my number one for Blood as well.
I literally, like, I'm obsessed with it to the point where, like, I stalk their Twitch. They're also on Twitch, by the way, doing their live games, Pandemonium Institution. Check it out. I like listening to their podcast, which is an unofficial one. And I made my own little, like, version of it, of Blood on the Clock Tower, which I'm pretty sure at this point has cost me more than the original one. But that's my obsession. I love social deduction. It's, like, how I didn't get into board gaming, but, like, it's how I was introduced to, like, there's, like, more games in, like, Monopoly and whatnot. And it's just, like, I've always loved Werewolf. I haven't hit that stride of just, like, being sick of Werewolf. But this is, like, Werewolf plus... and just has everything I want, the components, especially after making my own, I realized, like, how much time and energy it takes to make all those components, and it's genius, and I love it so much.
Everything she said, I think times two.
Oh, yeah.
We lost a lot of sleep at Origins last year playing Blood on the Clock Tower until...
When I saw those videos, you have no idea how much jealous I was.
It was like 1:30 in the morning, and we were like, we gotta go to bed. And we start walking away, and they're like, well, we're going to change it up with this and add an expansion or something. And we're like, well, we got to play it.
We got to talk about it. And a little behind the scenes fun fact. So we would play until 2 or 3 in the morning, Blood on the Clock Tower, and then we'd go back to the hotel and shoot like 15 videos about the games we played that day. Oh, I miss conventions. Yeah. But yeah, that's spectacular. That's my number one too. It was not on the list on there, but yeah, no-brainer for me. My number one small step. This one's from Academy Games. They do a lot of historically themed games. They did Freedom, the Underground Railroad. They really invest heavily in the history when making a game. And this is Lead the United States or Soviet Union Space Agency in this engine building. Yes, worker placement. Yes, Race for the Moon, Euro game. Yes, 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 so much yes. They got 3 different designers on this, which means it's just going to be leaking and oozing theme, the space theme, which I love. Play it on a team or 1 or 2 players. That also intrigues the heck out of me, too. A 4-player, heavier Euro game sitting at 60 to 120 minutes. Not super heavy, but still, where you're working as a team trying to, go into space exploration. It also says educational, modular board, set collection, team-based game, worker placement. Everything checks the boxes for me. I am stoked to check this one out. That is one small step. It's just a game that feels like it was designed exactly for people like me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that's why it's my number 1A, technically, because Blood on the Clock Tower is still probably way better than this game. So. No offense, but Blood on the Clock Tower is might be my best game I've ever played. This year, hopefully.
My number 1 is Nevada City.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't have that on your list. Because we had so much... We played the prototype of this at Origins last year.
Mm-hmm. Check out the video.
Yeah, you can go look it up. We had so much fun playing this game. It's just like oozing with the theme. Like everything you did made sense in the theme. And you're building your family. You're building up the town. You're owning certain establishments, so you want people to go there, but you also want to use it yourself because you get extra bonuses. And fantastic game.
Yeah, I honestly thought you were going to put it on the list, so I did not.
Oh,
I thought for sure you did, because I remember I really, really liked this game, and you liked it even more than I did. Really, and I think it's Rio Grande Games that's putting it out. Definitely one you might want to check out. But there you go. Those were our top 10 games of the summer of 2020. If you enjoyed that, please be sure to click on the subscribe button. Also, leave in the comments below what you like, what you're most excited about this summer. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
See yas.